I'm back at home again, but instead of facing that way, I moved the camera this way. And as you can see, it's an absolute disaster. If you're watching this on video, if I could only just explain it to you. If you're on audio, there's just bags everywhere. I think this is a gift. This is my passport, a bunch of cables. There's a night lamp, a baby monitor. This is the room. This is the room I was telling y'all about, that everything ends up in this room, my old quote unquote room. In addition to that, I will say this though. I created half of this mess. I'm back in town right before a slew of weddings, a slew being 2 weddings. So I guess just a couple of weddings. And on top of that, I got to plan out all these outfits, right? So I have all this stuff in storage, bring it out. It's just in these Home Depot containers. I'm unpacking that, seeing, oh, okay, I have this event. I got to wear blue to this event. I got to wear neon themes to this one. So I've been stacking all my options and just trying to have a checklist with all of that. So I came home last week. This was Thursday. Yeah, I flew out Friday night, and I'm going through the TSA pre-check line, and this is always the most embarrassing part. Is I go up to the clear thing. I have clear. Things are just nice like that. I go up to clear, and you have to kind of specify it and say like, "Oh, is this TSA clear?" Because if you go through regular clear, you'll be taken to the front of the regular line where the peasants go through. You know, like people that take off their shoes at security. That's not for me. So I go up there. It's a bunch of black ladies, and I was like, I come off as a sweet person sometimes. And I was like, "Oh, is this the TSA pre-check clear?" They're like, "Oh, yes, it is. Like we just need to see your boarding pass." I present that shit, and I saw it first, and I still turned the phone around where that shit had nothing listed there. It'll normally say right above the QR code, like TSA pre-check. You show it to them, you do the little thumbprint, and then you're in the front of the TSA pre-check line. Honestly, it's a little overrated. If you don't have clear, do not waste your money, bro. Like the TSA pre-check line half the time is already empty or just moves by pretty fast. The clear line, the clear like advantage to take you to the front, not really worth it. So these ladies laugh at me. I actually go back downstairs. I'm literally burning time. Instead of getting in the line, that the regular line, which is probably like 6, 7 people, I was like, F that, man. I'm not taking my shoes off. In addition to that, like I need to see what happened. Because I remember renewing my global entry thing, and it was like, oh, like because of how crazy it is post COVID, we will make sure that we give you 2 years on us. I just didn't realize it had been 2 years. I did this back in 21, and it expired on my birthday this year, so October 5th. And then oh boy, I went through the regular line. And not even that. The worst part is I take off my shoes. I have 3 bins, one with my bag, one with my stuff like shoes, jacket, and then you have to put your freaking laptop in a different bin. Now, an employee comes in with like someone in a wheelchair, and they always skip the line. Cool, like more power to them. I don't really care. But being a decent human being, I scoop my stuff back so they can insert their trays. My back bin had my laptop in it, and it just falls to the ground, slaps the ground. The bin flipped over with laptop in it, face plants. You hear the whole security line just gasp. And I just didn't react. I get embarrassed pretty easily in public. So I just picked it up calmly, no expression on my face, no like disgust, angst, like anything that I was like, oh my gosh, this is the TSA pre-check, or sorry, this is the TSA agent's fault. It was just, I knew it was on me. I should have been more careful. I picked that thing up. And what's really nice was the lady that was doing the wheelchair. I don't know what those folks are called. I think it's prospects. As weird as that name is, I think it's prospect. She turns around. She's like, "Oh my gosh, was that your laptop?" And I was just like, "Oh, like let's just see if it's okay." And I opened it up, and we saw it's okay. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I would have felt so bad." And very nice of her, but also like, okay, cool. Like it would have been really cool if you turned around and you were like, "Oh, like the airport offers like a $500 thing if we make a mistake." No, she didn't make a mistake, right? So let's just kill that point in its entirety. The laptop turns on. I then get home and see that I had like a little body issue. So I think the bottom part of this laptop is just like a little caved out now. Everything's working software wise, mouse, keys, ports, Everything's good. It's just the body issue. And I literally got this laptop like a month or two ago. Luckily, I did get Apple Care. My thing is, I'm kind of lazy, you know? So I don't really want to go to the Apple store and deal with all that nonsense. And I've just never submitted a claim. So I don't really know what to do. But I have to get it fixed because it's just bugging me, especially 2 months in. You know, like when you get a new car and you get that first scratch or you make that little first bump, little love tap, it's like, you know, it hurts. It hurts in your heart. But then you're like, oh, okay, now the future bumps and love taps and all that shit, they don't really affect you as much. I'm not obviously not talking a major collision, right? I'm just talking like you scraped off the side of your garage. Then you get then you get a little used to the pain. So that's how it kind of felt with the laptop. But I was just like, bro, take that shit to the store. So I get home and on the first night, I hit up my boy and I was just like, hey man, coming to town, come through. It's my very close friend Visha, right? We are friends, family friends, all of that. And this is how I know guys need to connect more. Guys just need to have a cadence of connecting more because he was like, okay, yeah, like just let me know. I got home. Unfortunately, it got a little bit late and this fool has the audacity. So we basically called it off because we were just like, oh, it's a little late. It's all good. You know, you got stuff tomorrow. I got stuff tomorrow. It's all good. This man texted me a little bit after and just be like, hey man, just making sure, is everything okay? And look, there's nothing wrong with that text, but it's just funny because it's like, yeah, bro, like it's so funny the age of do not disturb that we're in. And I am so guilty of it as well. I was gonna say purely guilty. Don't worry about that. I am so guilty of it too. Where it's like if someone calls you, right? If you are looking at your phone and someone's name pops up and they're calling you, one of the first thoughts in your head, maybe this is not for everyone, but I think it's a common thing where it's like, oh, what the fuck does this person want? Oh, my mom's calling me? What does she want? Oh, my dad's calling me? Oh my gosh, something must be wrong. And so I guess it was the same concept with me trying to hang out with him where it's like, hey, yeah, like let's hang out. Let's hang out in person. I didn't FaceTime him or call him. I was like, let's just hang out in person. And he was like, bro, is something wrong with you? And I was like, no, bro, like I'm just trying to hang out. The do not disturb era, man, where it's like, yo, you better be fucking dying. Something better be wrong. You better be upset or you better have something happening, some big event. Nothing like, oh yeah, no, I was just calling to say what's up. What? Just to say what's up. Bitch, if you don't leave me, like it's just so funny. And I think I'm going to keep calling it this do not disturb era. And I'm so guilty of it, but luckily, I mean not luckily, but when I come to town, I try to make a little bit more of an effort. And I'm trying to be better at this overall where it's just like, hey, like let's hang out. Let's hang out in person. Let's do this right now. Let's plan this right now and try our hardest not to flake. Try our hardest not to get to the day of hanging out and be like, bro, like maybe we just push it to next week. I'm busy. Like I know you got stuff going on. No one is that busy. No one that I'm talking to is that busy where it's like, damn. I understand if you have like schedules, right? Like if you got some doctor friends and stuff, but I'm good. I'm in the clear right now. I sometimes just get these ideas in segments, like and these segments just don't line up sometimes. So I have to look back at my notebook, look back at the camera and be like, oh yeah, I completely forgot to say that one part. And that one part being, oh my gosh, my apologies to you all. A happy Diwali to all my brothers and sisters out there. My bad. It took me so long to get into the episode without saying that. But I hope you guys all had a great Diwali, whether it was with friends, family, by yourself, with one person. It don't matter. I just hope you had a good one. Wishing you the best, wishing you the brightest, and just overall, have a good year. It almost sounds like an ad read. But more so importantly, that is actually the main reason why I came home. So we have a couple weddings coming up, but since Diwali was this past Sunday, I came to town to be with the family. For my mom, this is basically like her number one holiday. For a lot of South Asians, this is their number one. Personally, for my dad, it was Christmas. And then I think that kind of just worked its way onto me. year after year, just having a lot of traditions, having a lot of happiness. And then also, like you just get so many gifts. During Diwali time, you don't get a lot of gifts. And if you have a South Asian coworker, be sure and wish them happy Diwali. They're not going to think it's racist. If you add an emoji or something like that, don't push it. But they're not going to think it's racist. If you have a developer, I know half of you folks have a developer that either works for you, that you get help from. It doesn't matter. Wish them happy Diwali. I thought it was so funny that, like, when I used to be in the office, we had people, South Asian folks, more so on the uncles and auntie side, that were on the tech team, right? Like more of the data engineer side. And they would bring in all these sweets and gatia and all these other like mixes, and they would bring it in and leave it in the break room. And then, everyone's asking about it. Oh, wow, this is so cool. And I never got used to discerning the line of like, is this fool being like jokey, like satirical with me, like trying to get a haha out of it? Or is he actually like genuinely interested? And I think I still don't know that. But going back to just wish a coworker happy Diwali. Last year, and I'm pretty sure the year before, my company, and I'm not going to say the name again, even though they can go back in the past and find out who I work for, but they didn't send shit. All these developers on this team and all these people that are on the team via, in the India teams, no Diwali email. We get Juneteenth off. And they've started to send out that email every Sunday, like, oh, we like to stand with, like we fully support. Bro, this holiday is damn near new. This holiday has barely lasted, 2020? The holiday has lasted 4 years. And you got maybe 30 people, 30 black people that work for this company. Diwali comes, you got a damn near 1 million people on your team overseas. And not even an email. Not even an email. Oh man, if I could name this episode not even an email, I could, but I gotta make it happy Diwali. But once again, happy Diwali to all you guys. And so, like I was saying, picking out these Indian outfits have been crazy tough. We're just in an age where everyone's getting so creative with this fashion shit that it's so hard to keep up. Before, you used to have a light Indian outfit and a heavy Indian outfit sometimes. And then it started being like, okay, you can either wear a vest or a dupatta, a scarf, whatever you want to call it. And then it gets into, like at this event, you'll want to wear something a little bit different, something a little bit Indo-Western, something like this, that. And don't get me wrong, I know it's 10 times harder for the ladies. But once again, I'm talking about my issue. And it's just gotten so creative that I will say I have been having such a hard time keeping up. So I've been trying to be on Pinterest, just looking up more like, oh, okay, are people doing this? Or are people doing this? Okay, I know I have these outfits and this is how I can kind of mix them up and do that. So it's gotten more difficult, but I will say like probably for the better, right? This is just fashion in general. People wear suits. Now people wear suits and sneakers. People wear like back to tuxedos. People do this and that. Style's always changing, always revolving. But overall, like I'm super excited for these weddings. I don't know if I'll be recording while at the weddings or talking about them as soon as possible, just because, you just want some time to chill and not really keep thinking about it. Every conversation you're having post-wedding, you're just talking about it. So I'll keep you updated on that, but let's keep it going. A few tidbits before I get into my two little stories is that WeWork stock doubled. So I think I talked about it 2 weeks ago, maybe even a week ago, but the WeWork stock was at 80 cents. And if you look right now, and I'm recording this on Sunday, so it's at 155. You would have damn near doubled your money listening to me. I'm no financial advisor. Add that, message real quick. But my dumbass accidentally bought the wrong fucking We. I bought We, WE as the ticker code. And WeWork is actually like spelt out damn near WeWork. Unfortunately, my trade didn't even go through. My stupid ass literally missed out on doubling my money. I kind of want to get in now, but I feel like as soon as I do, that shit's going right back down. In addition to that, I won't talk about it too much this week because we already talked about it 2 weeks in a row. The Chris Brown album came out 11/11, and I will try to say this without being too biased, even though it's already baked in as much as I can't deny it. It's pretty good. Y'all give it a listen, sit on it, drive to it, dance to it, whatever you else want to it. And then I'll talk about it a little bit more in a later episode. I did a shoot last Wednesday for an international Chili's commercial. What it's centered around is with the 2024 Olympics coming up, cricket has been introduced as a new sport in the Olympics. I had no idea that it wasn't there before. I don't know how it couldn't have been with the billions that watch that shit. So I was part of this Chili's commercial, and it was broken out by like, okay, South America will have their shoot on Sunday night. This region will be on Monday night, and the South Asians were on Wednesday night. So this is what I was at. I leave Culver City at about 8 p.m., get to Murrieta, which is about an hour and a half away. 11 o'clock, shoot starts. Now, this wasn't the most eventful shoot. There was no sound at all. So no one was really mic'd up. No one had lines. This is all just like wordplay, like the same way not wordplay, just acting stuff out. So the same way you see a commercial and you see like, oh, this basket of fries comes out and everyone's all super excited. Yay. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But you don't actually hear them emote, right? You don't actually hear them cheer. You don't actually hear them like cheers or anything like that. That's what this was. What's that called? Live action? No. Whatever. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, it's like miming. But you can make sound, but they just don't have microphones. Anyways, so that shit, I will say, was pretty brutal. And in addition to that, I'm not trying to sound like I don't want to dog on my South Asian people, my Indian people. But man, it was just crazy how you see this whole different group of Indian people. Right? Like I know a group of Indian people through prior work and through prior events that I've been to, right? So you kind of see some of the overlapping people. You see people that maybe you've seen on Instagram and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, like this is that group of people. At this, it was like a brand new pool of people that were much more to the bone Indian, FOB Indian. And I was just like, damn, like how many freaking Indians are out here doing this acting shit? It's high key intimidating, but it's also just like, this is pretty cool. I don't like it, but it's pretty cool. So this Chili Shoots goes on and it wraps at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. Now, morning time traffic in LA is not a joke. I get home at 10:30 a.m. And then at that point, like you can't recover, right? Like whether you sleep 6 hours and you're up and then your nighttime sleep schedule's fucked up. So I just try to push through. But if I could somehow get my hands on a copy of that afterwards, it won't be aired in the United States. Like I said, it's an international commercial, but hopefully they send out a copy. I'll post that here to share with you guys. And hopefully I have some screen time in that. And hopefully I can just use it as like a, what do they call it? A reel, right? Some type of content. Talking about acting shit, even though this is on a much, much grander scale, the writer strike is over. I found it pretty surprising that I never talked about this on the podcast, but being in LA and all that, but I just honestly really didn't know much about it. And I did not think it would last as long as it did. More so that I just didn't know shit about it. And I was hoping to talk to someone that did and then have them on, then they can explain it. And then I don't look bad or dumb or disrespectful. But man, shit was getting bad. Shit was getting bad. And what's wild is like a lot of these people that were on strike, I listened to some podcasts where it's like people will be back to auditioning, but they'll still be working their day job, right? Like, so all these people that were on strike, they were, let's say, waiting tables. Nothing changes after this strike ends, right? They're still waiting tables, but now they get to audition for roles again. I don't know if you guys saw this, but a lot of actors started posting on their Instagram where it's like, oh yeah, hey, like Jamie Foxx promoted that movie that he was in with Tommy Lee Jones. Even though that movie released probably a month ago, maybe weeks ago, but they're not allowed to promote anything. This was one of the rules of the strike. So, for example, the guy that plays Mike Ross in Suits, I can't remember his name, but he had posted a picture maybe a week or two ago with Meghan Markle and he got in trouble for it. And he literally had to take it down and apologize because it's one of the rules of SAG and the strike that you can't post or promote content during this period. Even late night shows, right? You didn't see a lot of celebrities on there. You didn't see a lot of people that were releasing movies. You saw a lot of musicians and stuff like that, but not a lot of celebrities, or I guess not a lot of actors per se. But man, like I said, shit was getting bad. I've never felt like I was in a lull, and this is like the content era, right? But I've never felt like I was in a lull like this, where I go sit down with a plate of food and I'm scrolling through Netflix and just being like, I'm just not going to eat. There is nothing to watch at this point. I'm just literally just going to start rewatching old shit. I think I watched Miss Congeniality at one point. And on top of that, the shit that was coming out that I would be excited for, like let's say Loki, for example. I don't know when this was actually written, but 5 episodes of that. Even before that, I forget what I was watching that I was like, this is so bad. Even movies, right? Flash, Black Adam. I can't think of something else that came out that just really shot the bed, writing wise, right? Like story wise. But Loki, for example, this season 2 just wrapped up on season 6, or sorry, this season 2 just wrapped up on episode 6, and that show was pretty good. That last show was pretty good, but it's like, why did it take this long? Right? Episodes 1 through 5 were just like, bro, I'm at the point where I just can't watch this. Luckily, I'm an overcommitted dude that's just like, I've already started this shit. I gotta see this through. Especially for DC stuff where it's like, I know whatever, it can all be bad. I will probably watch it just because I need to stay in the timeline, know all the Easter eggs, keep up to date with all that stuff. But even outside of that show, right, you start seeing the effects start happening more. You start seeing a couple less movies released. You see less trailers, all of that stuff because of this writer strike 118 days later. So now I was wondering, should like the stocks of like HBO, Hulu, Disney, Netflix, should I be buying that? Should I be investing in that? It's so funny. I don't even think about like the actor side of it, right? And like me being in LA wanting to act, I don't even think about the like, oh, there's going to be more roles now, more auditions, because honestly, I just don't even know what that looks like right now. I plan on spending my December, maybe January, figuring that out. But right now, it's more of like how can I get in this early? How can I start buying this stock to make sure, like, because I think all of these shows are going to start popping up and they're going to be pretty good because those writers, those good writers that were on strike, those good actors that were on strike, part of a union, they'll be back. Sorry if you can hear my chair creaking and shit in the back. I'll just lean back and stay in one position. One of the funniest things of the strike that, funny to me as an outsider, right? As someone that has probably committed their entire life to the profession, no disrespect, but like I said, it was just funny to me, is the focus on the use of AI in projects. The fact that they would scan people and possibly have the use to use them in perpetuity for the rest of time. So for example, like I was an extra on Winning Time. They could have had me there for one day, pay me $15 an hour, but then have a full body scan of me to use me in anything else. And the shit's getting pretty good. I don't think it's at the level where it matches the real thing, whether it's in the artistry way or visual, audio, all of that stuff. But that would be one of the things where they take an extra from a single day and then use them forever. Every movie could be starring Leonardo DiCaprio. Every movie could be, their main actress could be Anne Hathaway, Margot Robbie. But that was one of the main points that I saw in the articles that I read that they kind of made sure was shot down. Do I think it'll eventually come back to be like, hey, look, like all of these movie companies are just, they can't keep up. They spend $300 million and then they make $15 million in box office because of all these costs that they have. This is an interesting thing, actually. And there is a movie out there that recently came out that shot with like a very, not low quality camera, but a budget friendly camera. And they had this grandiose movie, but their budget was maybe a 10% of a movie that you would think it like could compare to a comparable movie. So I wonder how many production companies were just not getting away with stuff, but just, did they not have to cut any corners? Could they just, spend 300 million because they could spend 300 million because the, cap was 300 million. So now can they make that same project for 10 million, because they know that they'll only make 15 million on it. Like I said, there's just so many things that will unfold upon this writer strike ending that it's very interesting to see how the world of cinema kind of Hollywood cinema particularly changes over the next 10 years. And honestly, I thought this would be a kind of short episode because I didn't really have anything until probably 9 o'clock tonight. But signing off this week, I want to say goodbye and thank you to all you guys for all the support, all the feedback. Thank you last week for those that caught that I released a 0-minute episode. I am actually also going to announce that I'm going to take a little bit of a break with these weddings coming up. In addition to that, the fact that I feel like I've just been driving this car. I've just been driving this car and keeping my eyes straight versus kind of just slowing down a little bit and tweaking some things, adding some layers, adding some details that I wanted to add that I just have been procrastinating. So if I don't release an episode next week, I deeply apologize. But until then, I hope to get a lot more content for you guys, and I'll hopefully see you after Thanksgiving. So with that being said, goodbye.